All right, hit me with it.
All right, so how do you get an object to follow the player around without being a child player? For example, like a lamb or a knight or something.
Okay, so you want, if we have a cube or something like that, and and we're walking around, you want the cube to be in tow, but not the cube to be a child of us where it's. So what we would do is we'd probably attach a script to it, maybe called the script follower or something like that. So I'll create a new script here. Follower.
Is it just one thing you want following you?
There's like multiple things. So like a lamb either that I'm carrying or is walking behind me. And then I also want to be able to have like a knife in my other hand or something.
Well, if you're carrying the lamb would be a child of your hand control or something like that. Okay. But if you had three things that you all wanted to follow the same thing, so when I write this, I'm going to create a game object here. Public game. Why does it do this? Object to follow. Let me kill Visual Studio, relaunch it. Okay, so let's go back into Unity, and we're going to throw let's do this for a sphere, just so we don't get them confused. All right, so there's our sphere. And we are going to drag this follower script onto that sphere. And you want the script to follow us, correct? All right, so we are the FPS controller. So we're going to drag that in for the object to follow. And then on update in here, you could do it on an update. You possibly could do it on fixed update too, so it doesn't happen quite as often. But what you'll do is you'll adjust this thing's transform. You probably want to have some sort of distance between the two or something like that. So we can kind of mess with it a little bit. So we're going to say transform, let's call this guy offset. Really, this would be a vector 3. Oh, thank you. Vector 3 offset, and then why don't we say this dot offset is equal to a new vector 3, and let's do it 1 XYZ 110. See how that looks. So just kind of a one offset diff on the X and the Y. Actually, it'll be 101, the X and the Z. We don't want it above. We want it just to be off to the side. So let's see how far that looks. So then what we'll say in here, so that's going to be a constant offset. So then what we'll say in here is we want to set whoever owns this script, we want to set their transform's position in world space equal to the player, the guy we're trying to follow's transform in world space, minus the offset. So this dot transform dot position is equal to this dot object to follow dot transform dot position minus this dot offset. So let's see what that ends up looking like. So initially it's going to look kind of funny because in the very first frame that sphere is going to suck itself over to us instead of kind of gingerly walking to us. I haven't given myself a whole lot of room to move here. Something like that.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? And in hindsight, if you want him behind you, it would probably be plus that offset the way we have it written, and he would be behind you. But all right. Anything else?
And just like having stuff in the hands, is there any way to do that without bringing in the VR controller?
Well, if you want to mimic having it in your hands, so what you would do is maybe in your first-person controller, so maybe we'll do something like this. We'll create a small sphere. Let's call this left hand, and then duplicate this. And call this right hand. And then let's position those things near us.
Do you want to set the scale as well?
Yeah, we will.
Okay.
So let's reset position. All right, so this guy is looking out this way. So the left hand would be here. And the right hand, so that's at 0.2. Negative 0.4, 0.4, 0.2. And then I'm going to copy these components, paste it onto the other hand, and we'll actually make the position at 0.4, and the other one should be the same. So that should be left and right hand, and they should travel with you right now. We don't see them in front of us yet, so let's get it so it's out in front of us more. All right, so a little bit ghetto-y, but you can treat those as your left and right hand. So then when you want something, here just for right now, let me take this sphere and he'll no longer follow me. So I just disabled the follower. So now if you want something in your right and your left hand, let's say, you would add it as a, so here, let's create a little 3D object in here. So we'll game object, and let's do this as a, let's do it as a capsule. Capsule will work. All right, and let's give this guy a color. So we have a red capsule, and we'll shrink this guy down. Red pill or a blue pill? Okay. So then what we're going to do is we'll go into the script that's on the player. Actually, we have the scene manager script. So let's actually just create a script for the player. That way he has like the ability to grab. So we'll create a C# script, and we'll call this the grabber. And we'll associate this with our player. That's fine. Okay, so now when I go into the script, I'm going to have the grabber know about the left and the right hand. So public. Now, what we're effectively doing here is we're kind of mimicking how the virtual reality camera rigs work. They come with a left and a right hand. So we're kind of mimicking that type of thing. So we'll say public game object, left hand, public game object, right hand, like this. And then why don't we just say public game object item. That's the item we're going to be able to hold. We'll just link the pill in there. Okay, so let's go hook these up so we don't forget. All right, so we have this grabber script. We'll let him know about his left hand. Let him know about his right hand. And we'll let him know about the item that he can pick up. Okay, let's come back in here. So then in update, we'll do this on like a G. Press G to grab. So if input dot, I wonder what's actually happening when it stops like doing command completion. You know, like when you put a period there and it won't show you the rest of the stuff. So input dot get key down, key code dot G. All right, so if you press the G key, so now this is where things get interesting. The question is how do we add the item as a child of our left hand, for example? You actually don't. You let the child know that its parent is the left hand. Okay, so you would form the item. So we're going to say, if we do this, we're going to say this dot item dot transform dot parent is equal to this dot left hand dot transform. And then in this case, since we are actually holding something, we might decide to turn off the renderer for our left hand or something like that. But for right now, we'll just leave it like this. Pretty sure I pressed it. Oh, I did press it. It just still has an offset. So even though I said it to be the parent of it, so it is connected to me, I really actually want it to be positioned where my left hand is, right? So after I said its parent, then I'm going to say this dot item dot transform dot local position is equal to vector 3.0. And let me make sure this works first, then I'll tell you what that just did. Yep. All right, so it's near us now. So we have two different positions inside of our transforms. We have something called position and we have something called local position. So local position is something's relative position to its parent. So right after this line, what we did is we made the so here. Let me comment that out for a second. We'll run this again. So watch what happens over here. Okay, so right now the capsule is here and our left hand is here. When I press G, what happened? The capsule became a child of our left hand, but its offset is still where it used to be. Wherever that ends up. Oh, because yeah, I gotcha. It's behind me. So its offset stayed there. So that's why in the very next line, what I did is I said, now that it's a parent, now that it's a child of my left hand, go ahead and set that item's local position that is relative to my left hand to 0. So he's right where my left hand is.
How would you drop an item?
Set its parent to null.
Oh.
So we'll go ahead and do that. And then do you want it, does this guy have a, let's give our capsule a rigid body. He should drop to the floor, I think. Yep. And then when we grab him, he's now in our hand, but he falls, right? Because we're not actually holding him there. So probably need to turn his kinematic on or turn gravity off, one of the two. So when we get him, it's true. Yeah. Now, there's actually multiple ways we can do this. You could actually do it without turning gravity off. And we do that with something called a fixed joint. So we can actually create a fixed joint between these two things. So rather than, let me do this. So on my left hand, I can add a fixed joint. Okay, and a fixed joint gets a body that's connected to it. So it's going to be some other rigid body. So what I can do with that then is inside of this, when I hit G, rather than setting it as a parent, and I think we don't need to change its local position anymore either, we would say this dot get component fixed joint dot connected body is equal to, and it's got to be equal to a rigid body. So I don't think I can just say item. I think I need to get its get component rigid body of that guy. So what that does is it actually attaches it to my hand. It's not part of the hierarchy. It's hooked onto me.
And then to let go, you would set that to null.
Correct. Hold on a second. The fixed joint attached to the FPC model script, but a script is, there is no fixed joint, it says. Oh, because the fixed joint is actually attached to the left hand. So it's not this dot get component, it's this dot left hand dot get component. Okay, it looks like we do need to still change its position though.
Which means you need to make it a child. To get that position, that local.
Yeah. I see. But I want to know if when I grabbed it, did it actually become a child? Yeah, it didn't. So I just set its local position to the relative world. So it looks like we need to do all these things. I'll move this back where it was, even though it doesn't matter. Okay. Well, it still fell out of our hand.
Where is the hand?
Maybe under the ground. It might have ripped the hand off of us.
Yeah, it looks like there was something in
Yeah.
the capsule.
So can we make, actually, I guess we could take the hand and make this guy kinematic. Oh, actually, our hand fell away because it had gravity turned on. Let's just turn gravity off the hand.
Wait a second.
You still lost it.
Left hand.
Oh.
And there's some other kinds of joints you can have too that are like elastic joints and stuff, so you can move your hand around and it like acts like a whip and stuff like that. And then when we want to drop it, I think we have to do a couple of different things because we. So if I do another key code, if input dot get key down key code dot that's well we'll just do D for drop, even though it's one of our other keys anyways. Then we're going to set the connected body to null. And I think that should be it for dropping it. So there's grabbing it. There's dropping it. Grabbing it.
Still thinks it's a child in the hand.
Okay.
It doesn't move around with you. But
It does move around with you. If it's a child, it'll move around with you. So that means we'll also have to. So this would only actually make a difference if we had the hand controller, we actually see that joint moving where it was connected to us. Well, it's a fixed joint, so we would just see how we can move our hand, and the thing held that position. So I'm not sure we're really gaining anything from this fixed joint thing here, but in any case, we can say this dot item dot transform dot parent is equal to null. That'll disconnect it from us.
you drop it on the box.
All right, what else?
Does the controller automatically have that built in?
The controller, the camera rig effectively will give us something like this where we have a left and a right hand, like game objects to add stuff to.
But do we have to build scripts to pick things up and all that?
There are scripts that already exist for that, but you'll have to attach those scripts.
Okay.
Yeah, so there's a whole bunch of pre-built stuff for like teleporting and things like that, but it's not just all loaded on there, ready to go. All right, what else do we need to know how to do?
Get out early.
Get out early? Do we have any more bugs to fix? I won't start anything new, but if somebody else has some other thing they want me to show them how to do, we got 30 minutes left.
Flames.
Okay, so when you say flames, how do you want it to work? Are we talking like a particle system?
Whatever was in the Exodus thing.
Okay, I gotcha. So you want to have, so maybe have this this ball on fire?
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah.
So I think earlier Alexis said that she had gotten some fire that she didn't like, right? And you couldn't get did it just look like a bad texture?
No, it just like when you try to make it bigger, it like
It's real
no longer looks like
pixelated and stuff. So
it's
what?
not really like pixelated. It's just like it spreads it out too much to the point where
It's just an orangey goo, not it doesn't.
It's more like magic, like rings.
Okay.
Not what I
So what I'm going to do here, I'm just going to do a search for fire texture or something like that.
It was $10. There was one I saw that looked really cool, but it was like $30, which is one of the ones I was going to ask you about. But
So let's see, fire and spell effects. I'm just looking for FX fire free. What's this guy? Is this a texture or is this a? It's a prefab. Because the thing that we did for that burning bush is what's called a particle system, where each particle has this fire texture put onto it.
Okay.
So let me see what this guy gives you first, because this guy has prefabs. Yeah, that actually is a particle system. Let's see what it ends up looking like in
It doesn't look right. Wow. That's some pretty good fire.
It's beautiful, right? Well, let's just use their textures. Well, there's the effects. Yeah, it's there now. All right, so we just need to deal with the pixel stuff some. The particle system.
Reduce the transparency.
Yeah, let's just deal with one of them. Okay. So here's our particle system. You can choose how long it lasts and what the duration is. The lifetime is how long each particle lives for.
Okay.
Why is it so see-through?
Is that the texture that you put on it?
I don't think so. The texture should not be. I think it is a setting in here.
Before you put the texture on, it was just black.
Yeah. Let's see if that's more visible. Let's see if it's really an alpha thing on this. Yeah, it's basically see-through. What is making it?
That looks like much better.
Is there a lighting effect to it? I mean, that just makes it bigger, but I don't know if that's going to make it any more visible. So this is more particles. So instead of one particle, this is 10. So maybe the thing was, here, I'll set max particles to 100. All right, that's a lot. Let's set it to 10. So a particle only has a certain amount of life to it. So lifetime was 0.5. So it might have been that it was already disappearing before the next one was appearing, and that's why it had the kind of the see-through.
Why does it move as soon as you play?
What do you mean, why does it move?
No, like if you stop, it's in a different spot. Oh.
No, because I'm over here.
Okay.
Yeah, it didn't move. So that's kind of a burning fiery thing. And then you can mess around with the width of this guy. So under shape, I think there's a, so here's its radius. We can do point. Oh, the maximum that could be must be a. So I made it a bigger radius now, which should allow us to have more particles. So you can put this like on a wall and have like the whole wall burning or something like that.
I want to burn the city down, so.
Something along these lines. That's kind of what you're looking for. All right, I'll leave that particle effect in. But ultimately, what they did is they just prepackaged the particle effect because you can come in here and yeah, it's called a particle system. Yeah, effects particle system. So create one of those guys. So here's this new particle system. And let me hide this guy for a second. No, I need to actually. All right, so there's that particle system. It's there in the middle there. And I'll go above and let's just move it out some. Okay, and we'll. Ooh. So you can choose kind of the starting color for these particles. And then I should be able to add a texture to this guy. Hey, look at this other guy. Where does that fire texture thing come in? Yeah, it's under the shader for it. I can't change my default particle? I give myself a different shader. I'm not sure where you set your texture because this is the unless we have to drag it right on it in here. Yeah, that did it. So I had to drag it onto the actual object. Yeah. But then you can start adjusting the shape of your. So in any case, you can mess with shape and things like that to give you different effects. So that's particle systems. So you can do a bunch of stuff with them that isn't all that hard. You just got to screw with it till it looks the way you want it to look. All right, what else?
Can we use this for the candle light?
For like a candle light?
Yeah.
I would think so. So if you wanted to have a so if let me get rid of my particle system here and we'll use the nicer one. So I could take like well here, let's see if there's a nice candle out there. Here. Modular medieval. Yeah, here's some candles. Perfect. All right. Well, this thing might already have a light associated with this candle.
That looks like a pretty cool scene.
Is there a light on there? Yeah, there's already a light on this candle. You can find candles that already have lights. But if you wanted to make your own candle, I suppose, you could do a little, just duplicate this capsule. Candle. Shrink this guy down some.
Try to gravity off.
Sure, what?
Gravity off.
Yeah, I will. Actually, I shouldn't even need to turn it off because it's got a rigid body. It should sit there. Okay. And then we'll take our candle effect, reset its position, move it up a little bit. Oh, I have it turned off currently. And it is that is a lit candle. So let's go.
Oh, the scale.
Oh. Still too many particles, but you get the point, I think.
More secures than that.
We're getting closer now.
Maybe we can use this for the
Yeah, you could use it for a torch probably. Just give yourself a couple more particles, maybe 5 particles.
Do those give off light?
Particle a light emitter would. Particle emitter does give off light.
So if we like delete the light source in here, we should see that lighting up.
I would think so. What else? Got 8 more minutes.
Is there any way to set the size of something as a specific number of units as opposed to a generic scale from its original size?
Well, yes, because all of these, all scales are done in terms of units.
Right.
They only get messed up when you put things inside of other things, because then it's units relative to the parent. So if you don't box things inside of other things and you treat your units all the same, then it would give you that effect. So can you give me an example of what you're trying to pull off?
Like I make my tabernacle model in another modeling program, so I can plug in my numbers and get that. Import it into Unity. It imports it too small, so like I blow it up to the so many units by so many units.
But this was somebody else's prefab.
Right, and
Yeah.
somebody else happens to be me.
Oh, that you made in a different.
Right.
Okay.
In a different program.
Gotcha. Yeah. So the scale you used in the different program was different than the scale your default scene is using.
Correct.
I want to say that there might be something inside of build settings
To do what?
to standardize a scale. I mean, you'd still have to do it on your other program, but at least then you would know what your.
Oh, there's with the prefabs. There's something about that. They already have a scale.
Right.
Well, he made a prefab in a different program,
Right.
And when it came in, it was way too small, so we had to blow it up.
Can you change the scale of the prefab so that when you drag it in, it's already set to that size?
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, I mean, I think you can. I mean, if we drag one of these prefabs in, and then I set the scale to be 5 by 5 by 5, and then I say apply this to the prefab, all those prefabs from that point forward would be 5 by 5 by 5. So you could do that. You could adjust it the first time, then apply it, then all the future ones would be that new size. I don't know if that really solves your problem or not, but it's something, I suppose.
Yeah. It's just not a fan of how Unity does everything relative to or relative to the original size of it.
Yeah, I don't know why it does that when you make like before when we had the wall and the base. The wall was a child of the base, and we changed the wall, and it also altered the base. I wonder what the purpose of that is. There probably is a purpose, but I'm not sure what it is.
Put together a whole unit, like where you have, like I have a house with a bunch of bags next to it and everything. And if I want to, I don't want to have to increase the size of everything individually. I can just grab the main parent. And
Yeah, I get that. I think maybe it has more to do with rotation. Is my bigger issue. Is that when I rotated the wall, it bent the base. The base got deformed because it rotated within itself the same as I was rotating the wall. So scale I get, but I think rotation is where it acts differently than I want it to act. But it could totally be that I just don't know how to use it right. I mean, that's probably even probable. It seems like a pretty common thing that there must be a very good reason why it does rotate as well. So, I don't know. All right, anything else? All right, I will see everybody next Wednesday, Thursday, whatever.